Hello walkers, and welcome to Townsend, Montana, the county seat of Broadwater County. Another one of the small towns of Montana. You can see off to the left some snowy mountains. We've had some early winter weather here in Montana, but it's actually not too cold. It's about 28, 29 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 1 or 2 Celsius. We're going to start at the corner of Broadway and basically Highway, well, I forgot what highway it was. This is the commercial bar, an old hotel here. We're going to walk down Broadway because it's got some great old Western storefronts. Give us a like, subscribe, and comment, and all that sort of thing. It does help us. Love getting your comments. Been getting some really great personal stories and connections to the places recently. That's fun for me. And it's also helpful. You've been telling me what you like, what you don't like. Also, I think I requested to know what treadmills you're using. Some of you replied on that. Thank you very much. And what else? Oh yeah. I've been looking at my analytics, and sorry about the truck traffic here. Noticing that some of you who are popping in, checking us out for 30 seconds, but I'm going to try and say something around the 1 minute mark that you might want to hear. Or maybe not, who knows. I love these old storefronts. I'm going to give you some more information on the town here in a minute. But our plan is to walk down this main street here, loop over into the residential area, and then come back. So this main street is pretty long here. Broadway is actually also Highway 12, not interstate, mind you, but highway. And it goes over to White Sulphur Springs, which we've also filmed. What else was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, I was going to tell you the Townsend is about a little over 2,000 people. I was going to give you some details. It's my first walk of the day here. It is mid-November, 9:30-ish a.m. And passing the Fishtail Tavern here. Looks like a classic. We've had snow. It's about, I told you the temperature. It's not so bad. There's a little bit of a breeze, but otherwise pretty pleasant out. Beautiful sunshine. We are, of course, post-election here. Montana went very heavily for the Republican Party. And that's at the national level at least getting still sorted out, but here in Montana it's pretty much settled, and we're having a very equitable transfer of power, at least the beginnings of it. Doesn't really switch over until January, I think. So democracy is alive and well here. Townsend is a cool little town. We drive through here a lot because it's on the way from between Three Forks and Helena, and there's a lot of construction through today. Because they're they're adding lanes to the highway. It's become such a busy road that they're turning it into a 4-lane highway. They've done about half of it or a third of it, and they're continuing on. It's a multi-year project, of course. And like that. Also, here you'll see a lot of trucks because it is on the intersection of 12 and 287. That's the other main highway that I was taking. Kind of a cool little trading post. There used to be oh yeah, there it is. Sorry. I forgot to tell you, that wooden facade building, I think it's a brewery, but somewhere in here there was a brewery supply place, homebrew supply. Love this lawn tractor all doctored up. There's a donkey on there. Maybe they're a Democrat. That'd be unusual. Chains on the tires there. It's always fun. This is on the Missouri River, right at the head of Canyon Ferry Lake, which is actually a reservoir. And it is one of the biggest bodies of water in Montana. Very large. And between Three Forks and Helena, as I mentioned. So it gets a lot of traffic through here. But I think they're also, the economy is a lot of agricultural. These cross streets, we're crossing Cedar right now, and they are named mainly for types of wood or trees. This used to be, it started in the 1860s, 1880s as a mining community, and then was, according to Wikipedia, then it was had a rail, developed up as a way to serve the mining towns, and then it got, railroad came through here, and then it's stopped mining, and now it's still a little town, bigger than ever. Beautiful mountains around here, of course. The wind's picking up a little. And I was going to tell you, on Wikipedia they have sort of notable people section, and the two notable people, let me see if I can pull this up here again. One was Patrick Duffy, who many of you older folks, my age or older, might recognize from Dallas. And then, this is my favorite, they have listed here, Esther Reed, identity thief, was born in Townsend. That's the extent of the entry. So maybe that's her real name, maybe it's not. Here we got the some sort of health clinics here, and I believe the town hall. We're in Broadwater County, and it is the county seat. Not a large county, even by Montana standards, I don't think. Although, you know what? I might be wrong about that. Trying to think of what other towns might be in Broadwater. I don't think Helena is in Broadwater. I gotta zip this jacket up, sorry for sound there. It's really not that cold except when the wind blows. You gotta be careful of ice, especially when I get back here in the residential area where they don't plow and there's not enough traffic to melt the ice down. It can be a little bit slick. I wanted to tell you guys, this is what I was going to tell you at the 1 minute mark. Obviously, I started to ramble and forgot about that, but we've started a Roku channel. So I know a lot of you will watch on the YouTube app on your Roku or smart TV, but now if you look for City Walks, you can see it. We have our own channel. Still trying to get a little bit of the technical bugs worked out in terms of which videos are being shown. The way it was done, it pulled up the latest playlists rather than the playlist of latest videos. So we're getting that sorted out, but that should be done fairly soon. And you can watch on your HD TV or your 4K TV, although I don't think it's feeding the 4K version. It's still nice in HD. I was watching a couple of videos on the TV the other day. It was kind of fun. So tell your friends and family. Great way to work off that Thanksgiving bloat. At least that's what I get. I tend to binge at Thanksgiving. It'll be a little different this year, of course, as COVID cases in the U.S. spike a little bit. And then, it's a time where people get together. Not the best idea maybe this year, but At least this is in the United States. I think Canada's already had their Thanksgiving. And of course other countries don't even have that holiday. Love this kind of old stone facade here. I don't know if the sunlight will let it, seeing they're reworking that. Pretty old building that's been updated, and looks like they're going to do it again. Update it some more. Now we're crossing Cherry Street. If we follow this road, I think I said you go through the mountains and end up in White Sulphur Springs. But we are actually going to make a left here on Cherry Street. I think if I go down one more block, it turns into Harrison. One more block down 12 there. But we're going to stick here, and we're not going to go too far because I just want to get you a little sample of what the houses are like here. We're actually going to go, we'll loop back, go down a block or so here, loop back, and then cross over 12 and try the other side, because there's some, I think, some older, nicer houses. Now, if we were to go straight here, we would, well, if we could go straight here, we would end up in the reservoir, Canyon Ferry Reservoir. I don't think the road goes all the way through here, but we're going to make a left. And if we make a left and we're to go down, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks, we would hit the Broadwater High School. I don't know what they're, I like to find out the mascots, so that I forgot to do that before I started this walk. But probably not a very big high school. We're going to make a left here on 2nd anyway. In the past, I've asked you guys to comment about the practices in your country with political signs and campaigns and that sort of thing. Here, the election's over, and it's nice to see the most of the signs gone. There's been a lot of high pressure, high intensity election this year, and I don't want to get into that because, one, no point, and two, I don't want to scare YouTube off. They tend to view these things. You can, they're being much more careful about politics and anything that might be controversial. Not so much controversial as the potential for misinformation, and I actually applaud that. It's, you know, with all these billions of views and videos going up, they have to rely on software and algorithms. And I would much rather have them filtering out the extreme stuff than have anything goes mentality. That's my own personal opinion, of course. We're going to make a left on Walnut. It's not too slippery out here. Although, I don't know, it's pretty slippery, actually. My son, oldest son, is really into maps and mountains right now. He's 13. And he could probably name every single range around here. And I can't. So, sorry about that. But between here and Three Forks is a lot of wheat fields. And there's a company that owns several delis and that sort of thing. Sorry about this wind. I might have to adjust the microphone a bit in a minute, but let's figure this out real quick. And they have all these great sweets, and I stopped in hoping to get a sweet treat, but they were kind of busy, and I didn't want to hang out too long. They make a lot of bread and flour, and the name is eluding me right now, even though I know it. That was a little slippery too. You can see the reflection of the sun off this polished ice. It's amazing that cars can even drive on this stuff. The technology of automobile tires is kind of mind-blowing. So we're going to go up here and cross over to this other neighborhood for a little while. This is about halfway through here. This will be a shorter version. These little towns are really interesting to me, and let me know if you like them or prefer I stick to the big cities. Look at the mountains over there. That's pretty. You got the water tower here. This is Broadwater Veterans Memorial Park. In any case, let me know if you like these smaller towns. It's sort of limited here in Montana with the towns I can and cannot get to. Not a lot of big cities here. But we are going to be heading down to Southern California here in the next couple weeks to do some fairly safe travel. We're going to try and keep our distance, not go to big events or super crowded areas. It's always a risk these days. There's the Holy Cross Catholic Church to the left here. I have to go back over to the sidewalk. An interesting design for that church. I've gotten a lot of comments this year as I go through these smaller towns about how wide the streets are, and that's really true. In general, in America, we tend to have these big, wide streets for our big, wide cars and our big, wide trucks because we've had a surfeit of space in this country for a long time. But I'll tell you, as I get older, it seems more and more crowded, even out here in Montana. More and more people. We'll go down to the end of this block and make a right and head back. We're actually, as you might have guessed, or not, we're headed south actually. The sun, we have back to standard time. In the US we use daylight savings time for spring, summer, and half the fall. But we're back to standard time now, and this far north in the winter, the sun has a very southerly course. I mentioned this is the first walk of the day. I'm headed up to Helena. I did a walk there in the winter a couple years ago, and I'm going to go back and do a different route and hopefully film inside the Capitol building itself. Excuse me. We'll see how that goes, as always, as things change around, schedules evolve, opening hours are fluid. We've been doing some projects for Traveling Mel, who just did the Cook City walk for us. And so you might want to check the YouTube channel over there at Traveling Mel, or go to her blog at travelingmel.com. She was nice enough to do that walk for us, as well as a bunch of others on other occasions, Slovakia, California, etc. Anyway, we took a tour of southeast Montana. We did a video on that. We did a two-part video, so 2 videos on central Montana and Missouri River country, and these were back in October. So go check those out. They're kind of fun. You can see what we look like and what we get up to here in Montana. And we're working on another project for Yellowstone country, Montana. And I guess what brought that up was sort of the travel precautions and things you need to think about these days. That's one of the subjects of these videos, is sort of how to, Montana's open for business, but how to travel around safely. And, first thing is call to make sure that that's still the case. Do your research. I think we're getting over into some of the older buildings here, which will be nice. Looks like a nice Victorian, maybe, or I don't know what style that is. Farmhouse. It's pretty. I like the fish scale siding there. The ornate porch. We'll walk over there. See what we can see. Kind of pretty. Runs back to Cedar here. And which way do I want to go? I guess we'll go to the right here. Back on South Cedar. There's a vibrant blue building with a friendly little dog running out. Looks like it's going for a run, maybe. Wishes it was going for a run. Hi there. Dog got left behind and wants to go. A little Yorkie or something. So we are headed north now, as you may have guessed, if you're interested in that, coming up on B Street. So I assume the way it's laid out is the south side of Main, or Broadway, sorry, is lettered streets, and to the north are numbered streets. We're going to make a left on B. Oh, look at the squirrels crossing the power line up here. I've said this before, but I'm a little surprised at how few squirrels you see in Montana, or I see in Montana. I think there's a number in Helena, but these look like big old fox squirrels, red squirrels. But man, we barely have any in Livingston. You don't see a whole lot in Bozeman. And with all the trees, etc., I would think there'd be more. We have a disgruntled pupper here. Doesn't like the sound of us. I've got the, loosen this thing up. I've had several comments talking about the vertical motion of, here's some more houses, of the camera, which I totally get. I'm trying to use the Scotty Makes vertical axis stabilizer. I'm using the Osmo Pocket 1 right now. Love to get the Pocket 2, but it's several $100s, and I don't think it's in the cards just yet. But I've got to get it dialed on this Scotty Makes. I sort of switch up between the GoPro and the Osmo Pocket, and they weigh different weights, and I need to spend a few minutes getting both of those things dialed in, practicing, etc. It's a pretty little house over there. And another one. I just haven't had time with all these other projects on my plate, so I apologize for that. But I will continue to work at it. And it's still on the list of things to do. My dad has something he calls, or I call, he has a to-do list, and then he has a 6-month list, and a 1-year list, and a 6-year list. This is more of a to-do list item. Just gotta find some time. I like these old houses here, more classical, well built generally. We're on Spruce, by the way. I try to call that out for people that are following along on maps as they go. I could go through and map this out and show, do the whole walking tour, but honestly, I rarely know where I'm going before I, the exact route. And I like to take turns and side trips, side quests, I guess some might call it. And then when I get home and put these things in the editing machine, I don't always remember exactly what streets I took. And it takes a long time to put those together. So I read a comment the other day on, I forget the guy's name now, I'm so bad with names. It's a hiking channel over in California. Some guy in the comments was complaining about the ads, which I get. It's a bit of a hassle. YouTube, when you monetize your channel, YouTube picks where the ads appear, typically. You can go in and manually set it, but most people just leave it by default. And YouTube also picks which ads you see, and it's based on your personal viewing and surfing history, web surfing history. And the channel owners have no control over that. So, and I get that, but honestly, I'm going to drive probably 400 miles today, and gas is relatively cheap at around $2.50 a gallon, maybe less. $2.50 a gallon. This is D Street. So 25 miles to the gallon, or 25 miles a gallon. That's roughly 17 gallons. I'm not doing the math on that, but times 2 is $34. And this video will not make $34 in ad revenue, but it does defer some of the costs, so that's why we do it. And again, I understand why people don't care for the ads. I don't really care for ads either, but they do help defer some of the costs for putting these videos out. So I appreciate all y'all's patience with those, and thanks for sitting through them, waiting through them, or skipping through them when you can, and that option's provided. It does help, and the other option is to just really not do the channel at this point. So yeah, that's the story. We're gonna go down Pine, or South Pine, which I thought at first glance was Spine, but it's not. We're at the corner of Pine and D. And this is the Thriftway food store. It looks like their little grocery store. That is one of the challenges of these tiny little towns. You know, they're probably 30 to 45 minutes away from Helena, which is probably the largest city with a sizable grocery store, like an Albertsons, or the other one, Town and Country in Montana, or a Smith's. I think they have those out here. Anyway, that's a long way and a lot of fuel to burn to get groceries, and so, you know, Townsend's big enough to have this Thriftway. Other places are not that big. And so it's a major cost for people to put in the fuel and have the freezer capacity to do large grocery runs. Just a different element of life in rural America. You know, I go to the grocery store at least 3 times a week. I try to do a big run for the days I cook dinner, but I usually forget something. It's kind of like the hardware store. No, I don't think I go to do a project without at least 2 to 3 runs to a hardware store. But you know, you don't always have that. People don't always have that option in rural America and other rural places. You know, transportation. There's no bus. There's no subway. So getting around, mobility, is an issue. As is, surprisingly enough, affordable housing. It's becoming a big problem it's been a problem in urban Montana and other states. Also a problem in rural Montana. You know, the cost of building a new home or an apartment building or buying the land is pretty significant. And so demand outstrips supply, but people just can't afford it. You know, the median house cost in Bozeman is, I think, in the 400s. You know, in Livingston, we've got houses at, you know, 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, listing out at $385,000, $400,000, which may not be much for Manhattan or San Francisco, but for a lot of places in rural America, that is an outrageous cost. Oh, sorry. I'm 6'6", about a little under 2 meters, and I just walked under these bushes here, and one of them reached out and grabbed my hat, so I apologize for that interruption. Took it right off my head. Well, these folks have not finished with the election yet. Pretty house, though. I'm going to come out here to Highway 287 because I want to show you these grain elevators and stuff. It's just another iconic element of rural America. There goes a couple of stock semis with stock trailers. Hi there. You know, I've also had a couple comments, which surprised me a little bit, asking if I felt safe in these very more conservative rural towns, and my answer is yes, absolutely. Probably more safe than in lots of places in big cities. You know, people have strong opinions. But people are good, you know. The vast majority of people in the world are good people, I believe, and care about each other and will help you if you ask, and really have no interest in causing harm or being nasty in person. I think social media is a different animal. So this is the Rocky Mountain Supply Custom Seed Processing Center, and that's right along the railroad tracks. Townsend seeds there, and then you've got a couple more old grain elevators up ahead. A lot of one of the big companies here long ago was Teslow, Teslow. I need to do a little research about them. There's a grain elevator in Livingston that was going to be torn down, and some folks got together and bought it to save it because it's pretty iconic. Several other grain elevators around the state have been torn down the last 10 years, 20 years. You know, they become a danger if they're not kept up, and if they're not being used for economic purposes, then there's no reason to spend money keeping them up except to maintain them as historic buildings. So people are starting to do that. There's one over by sort of west of Bozeman, between Bozeman and Norris, that has been purchased and turned into a residential property. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting. All right, we are back at Broadway and 287 here, and this is the commercial bar. Looks like at one point it was a hotel. I guess 287 they're calling Front Street. I want to thank you guys for joining me on this walk through Townsend as we get drowned out by that semi. There's a little espresso and bakery, Mountain Moose it's called. Anyway, thanks. Leave us a comment. Click that bell to get notified of new videos, and hit that like button if you liked it, because that helps too. And I'm going to cross and give you another view down Main Street, or down Broadway, through the distant mountains there facing east. We will see you on our next walk, hopefully in Helena. And until then, keep on stepping.